Hey guys, this is Michelle Fiacco, founder of A Hero for Epileptics. Now, why do we use Anchor as an app? It's simple. It's very easy to use. You can record anytime, anywhere, and you can do it right from your phone or tablet and computer. So you have many different options, and once you do put an episode out there, it does get picked up by many different platforms. So it's really cool to see people starting to listen and respond to your podcasts. Thank you from A Hero for Epileptics, and learn more about us at www.aherofforepileptics.org. We are looking to raise awareness and find a cure for epilepsy. Hey guys, what's up? It's Michelle Fiacco here from A Hero for Epileptics. I am joined tonight by my husband, CEO and president of A Hero for Epileptics, Bruno Fiacco, and we are also joined by the creator of ToteMan, John McLaren. Hey John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so it's great. Hey, Bruno, thanks for also being on the podcast tonight. It's always nice to have the CEO and president.
Isn't it? Isn't it, though?
Yeah,
Thank you. It's great. Thank you.
Isn't it, though? So, John, we really appreciate you being on the podcast. And you also, like Bruno, you have a background of, with epilepsy, dealing with that, and also, raising awareness to try to get people, more knowledgeable about what's happening and what seizures really mean and what epilepsy really is, and that it's not scary and all these other kind of things. So, we just want to get some information from you and background. So why don't you start by telling us, when did you start your epilepsy journey?
Basically when I was about 14 is what I'm told, because of course with epilepsy, memory loss is a huge thing. So right before my 14th birthday, I had my first seizure, my first grand mal seizure, that I was delivering newspapers, collecting the money, and all of a sudden I came back to my mother and she found me on the ground. So she had to take me back to the doctor, and they realized it was epilepsy, and they realized I actually had it with the petites since I was born. They thought I was ignoring them, but I wasn't.
Okay, so can you describe, just for people who maybe don't know, what does that petites type of seizures mean?
Petite is basically when a person just stares off into space. They're looking at you, but they're not looking at you. They're in a different area. They can't pay attention. They're not really seeing what's going on. People just think especially parents, think their kids are just ignoring them and not listening, but I wasn't even there. I was somewhere else.
It's a whole different mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, and you don't know you're doing it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you look, and your clock has been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, you've been gone, and your parents are yelling at you, why aren't you listening to me?
Right. And Bruno, you also experience those,
all
even
the
today.
Time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And based on what John is saying, do you have the same feelings?
Well, my problem though with me is that every time I was just at my parents' house, my mother even thinks that I still have those when I'm not having it. Just because sometimes when I slow down a little bit, all of a sudden she thinks that that's the problem I'm having, and it gets to a little argument. But it's okay. Yeah. We come out of it quite well.
I start a conversation with the wife. You have to be a really strong person to be a caretaker for us, because we'll start talking, we'll be doing something, and all of a sudden just stop dead for a few moments, and we don't even know where we are anymore. What was I saying? I can't remember where my keys are. It's hard. So caregivers, man, they really have their job cut out. I'm very happy for my wife, and I'm sure Bruno is with his.
I hope he is too. He better be.
Where are you going?
So just John, in addition to that question, how did you deal with being diagnosed with epilepsy? And, did it change your mindset, and how did you kind of move from that diagnosis?
Well, it really freaked me out as a kid. I didn't know what to do. No one else had it in my area. Nobody in my family had it. We didn't know what to do, mostly. And the medication, as you can see by the comic book, I'm a very creative individual. And that medicine, man, it just knocked me out. I couldn't think, couldn't move. So we had to figure out what was best for me. I would go a couple times without it. I would tell my mom I was taking it when I wasn't. And it's not a good idea. I'm not being proud of it, but it's hard to deal with this stuff. You don't want to, because it just slows your brain down.
Right.
And we made it through it. I had a couple seizures every few years, or actually every few months in the beginning, and then it slowed down. and I started having the grand mals less and less, but still having the petites. And what now I have is a bad thing is my doctor describes it as a micro seizure, where my muscles will just start twitching by themselves, and I have no idea what's going on, and my leg will start shaking, my arm will start shaking, most of my biceps, and it's a scary thing for my wife. My son, and when he was 2 years old, I was a single father by myself, and I had a seizure in front of him, and all he kept saying was, "Daddy, fall down, Daddy, fall down," which is where ToteMan came from. I wanted to teach and show a kid, so they understand what this stuff is and what to do inside the comic book.
Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And just from my perspective as a caregiver, and Bruno's wife, it is very scary when you see someone having a seizure. And no matter how many times you see a seizure, I've seen many seizures at this time. We've been together for almost 9 years, married for 7. And you never get used to it. And you're always like upset with him in a different way after he comes out of it, because you're both kind of shaken. He's shaken from the seizure and I'm shaken from seeing it, because you feel almost helpless and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And then I can understand your son seeing it, and he's young. He was young at the time when it happened, so he's probably like, what just happened to my dad? It's scary, and he will never forget.
Everybody is living in two different worlds.
Yeah, exactly.
You're thinking on the human side. We're not so much human anymore, and that we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Our brain is affecting us somehow. We don't appreciate it. We don't like it. We just want it to stop.
Right.
And it's scary when you have a son or a daughter,
and you're by yourself.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. That's very frightening. No. Thank you for sharing, giving us more insight into seizures and your epilepsy and how you're kind of managing it, and just living your best life. So let's get into this whole ToteMan thing. What are you doing now to raise awareness, and how have you come about this comic book and this idea? And where did this all stem from? Where are you moving with that? And what's your vision for how it's going to be used and things of that nature?
Well, basically it started in 2002-ish. I was in Jamaica with my second wife on our honeymoon, and I had a seizure in the hotel room and busted myself really bad. Took me to the hospital. They brought me back to the hotel because we weren't done yet. I sat and wrote a story trying to say, how would I explain this to my son? And I sat on the Jamaican beach and just wrote this whole story. On the ride back, we were put on the plane was about to take off. I had another one, and they had to pull me off of the plane, take me to the hospital. I had to extend my stay, which really bothered me because I wasn't going to see my son, and trying to figure out where he is and how to get babysitters taken care of. And then came back here, sat on it for a little bit, didn't build up the story more, and then showed it to a couple people, and they were just like amazed by the story. And in college, I went back to college because I lost my license. I lost any ability to work at that point in time. I was fired by my job, so I went to school and started to do stuff with that, and took up Photoshop, took up animation, took up stuff to have fun with. And I was in one of the classes, and there was a girl who was there in class with her mom, which was kind of odd to me. And she wanted to read the story, so she took the story home. Her daughter read it, and apparently her daughter just bust out crying. She was just completely in tears. I'm like, I didn't even know upset her because she has epilepsy but doesn't want to tell anybody. This is a 20-something-year-old girl. And that's why her mom was in the class. Right, her mom was in the class with us because she was afraid to be in class by herself.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, this definitely has some meaning here. And I am a comic book geek through and through. So I thought the best way to do this for kids was a comic book. So I found an artist, talked to him, and worked with him to get this all scripted out from the story, get the comic book printed. We were printing it at my job in black and white. I was making as many copies as I could every other day when I was at the job. And we decided to go to Baltimore Comic Con and have fun. I went and bought a table. And I buy tables for at conventions and make no money. I give everything away for free. Stickers, buttons. I want to promote awareness. So I was up with my current wife. We're having breakfast, and my artist is calling me on the phone. Hey, you got to come down here. I'm like, why? The Epilepsy Foundation of America is here. Oh, they want to talk to you about it. So they talked to me. They asked me if they could print the book in color. And of course, I'm like, yes, please. So they were doing that, and they were like, how about coming to the walk? So I went to the 5th annual Epilepsy Walk as a guest, and I actually went in costume as the character to talk to the kids and have fun and do the walk and have my little table with the rest of the celebrities there. It was kind of interesting and cool. And then while I was doing that, I was invited to go to the Kids Speak Up, which is something they do in Washington. All the kids with epilepsy go and talk to the senators and stuff. They asked me to come and talk to that group the next day. So I went there in costume, talked to the kids, made a speech and whatnot in front of all these people, and it was just a lot of fun. It was difficult because I was in the costume as the character. I'm talking to kids, and the parents and all that were asking me about it, and like, oh, do you have a Spanish edition? And I'm like, I'm working on it. So I found out it was easier after that. My oldest son, who was a 2-year-old, he started doing the costume. He would go to conventions as it. He would go to walks, the epilepsy walk down here in Charlotte, and he would talk to the kids while I can talk to the parents, talk to everybody else, and give the spiel, as we say.
Right.
And it's really nice. Like, I've had a lot of positive reactions to it, and people were just like, why do you go to conventions and not make money? I'm like, because it's not that I want to do that. I want to promote this. People need to know about this. So I gave them out, handed them out. Went to a baseball game in New Jersey. They had an evening for epilepsy awareness. They brought me there. I was in costume for that at the baseball field, giving out the books as well. It's just, I just want to promote. I just want to get it out there. So I work for Healthcare Corporation, and they have it on their website as a resource for people, and for neurologists, they send out an email and a physician form to everybody telling them about this, giving them ideas how to use it, and now they're actually going to be printing it for me. So I'm happy. I'm going to get real comic book prints of the English and the Spanish, and that's part of the goal. I just want it in hospitals. I want it in neurologist offices, and now I'm working on putting it up on a comic book purchase site so that people can just buy it at cost. Because again, not making money, but it's easier if they just go there and they want to buy 10 of them, 12 of them, one of them. They can go there, buy it, and it'll get shipped right to them in English or Spanish. And when it's all finished. And future, I have a storyboard for an actual cartoon PSA. Like when I was a kid, we had to watch in health class. And actually if we get enough money and whatnot, get somebody to do it. I had a professional person who went to the Cuber school. He did the whole storyboard for me, but doesn't have time to do this. So I keep going on Twitter. I'm asking people, like, if they want to do, if their school wants to do an animation, use it as a project. I'm just trying to get it out there once. That's, I think, not the last goal. Maybe the next goal.
Right, yeah, that'll be
I'll find something else after that, but the next goal is a cartoon.
You don't want the last thing.
Yeah, cartoon would be cool. It's
exactly.
It's a long process to do animation.
Not everybody can do this kind of thing. There's kind of tricks. It takes special people like us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. That's really great. And, let everyone know where they can find out more information about the comic book and about you, shout out your website and any hashtags or any handles you have, give it to us.
Yep. I am the real ToteMan on Twitter. There's a ToteMan Facebook page, and I have my own website, ToteMansWorld.com.
Yeah, I was just on that about an hour ago reading it. It's great.
Yeah.
All about you.
Bruno was checking.
I was checking in. I'm like, this is...
Apparently, somebody grabbed ToteMan.com. I was like, what?
Yeah. ToteMan's real. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to grab the domains. We grabbed a bunch of domains when we started, just so we had various ones and for certain events and things, and we could be able to put a shortened version on certain items that we want to make.
Right.
It's hard. If it's someone bought it, it's hard.
I wasn't even prepared at the time. My brother made me do this.
Right.
I thought it was the greatest thing. I was doing it as a joke.
Right.
But,
you have a very smart brother.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good thing you listen to your brother.
ToteMansWorld.com.
Right.
And then Cigna.com. On their website, you can download the English and Spanish. All mine are free downloads on my website, ToteMansWorld.com. there are comic books, little black and white short stories that are about my seizures and other people who have given me their stories of seizures. We've made it into a comic book form with heroes and villains and kind of stuff like that to make it more interesting. And I'm always printing or making more of those when I have the money to hire an artist to do more. But they're there, and all the characters are up there. There's games on there. There's a paper doll for girls to dress. The female people on the site, and every time we're just trying to make more and keep it lively for the kids.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And after this podcast, when I have it official on, posted on Twitter, I will include your links, and I'll include your handle and things like that, so people can then follow you, check you out more, and you'll see some hits on your website and things like that. So yeah, you'll be able to check your analytics later on. You'll probably see a little boost, hopefully, from this, because I know people are looking forward to listening to this podcast. So we'll set that live. And again, thank you for speaking with A Hero for Epileptics and taking time to talk to both the founder and co-founder of our organization. We have a lot of big plans, and we're going to share your comic book information with Bruno's doctor at Northwell Health when we're there. So we'll see if maybe they can have this in kind of the waiting room or in other parts of the hospital, because they do have various age groups that go there. And this is something like, I feel like if Bruno, when he was diagnosed at 10, this would have been something cool for him to have in his hand, right?
Well, I was a big comic book geek, but it wasn't about epilepsy back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about epilepsy, but I was more into the Punisher comics and all those kind of comics back then.
And John, don't listen.
Don't listen to him. Just like you. And
he says
baseball cards.
He is a comic book
I like baseball cards. Was always my favorite thing to collect. I still have them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I as well. I give them to my kids.
Yeah, and it's fun to have stuff, have a hobby. It's a hobby, and it's fun to have a hobby. But it's amazing that you do something like this for kids.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started writing for my blogs, which are very long, Michelle started me doing that. But I was doing that because I want to show everyone what the problem is and how we can fix it. You're not alone. It's not just you. Right. It's us. It's everybody.
Yeah. So I think the main thing is, and that's why we wanted to have you on and other epileptics in the future on podcasts that can tell their story and what they're doing and, how they're trying to change the way epilepsy is looked at, is because we got to support each other. We're all looking at the same goal, and that is to raise awareness, to get more funding, to research, to find a cure, and all that kind of stuff, and more ways that we can help people with epilepsy, be able to live normal lives and, find, different, drugs that might work, or, maybe there's some kind of herbal thing that'll work, or there's other things that they can try that'll help them, be able to control their seizures. And I think we all really have to support each other to do this and work together. And some people have different means than other people, or access to certain things, or knowledge that we can really, lift each other up. And that's what really our goal is. We want to work with, groups and people like you that are doing, that have the same goals that we have, and that we're all looking to help, we're looking to help the same group, and and that's really important.
Basically, we're all looking for the next best thing.
Yeah.
It's the next best thing that we want. Everybody wants that.
Oh, yeah.
All epileptics, we want something else. I would always go to my neurologist, and he would tell me, what is the other medication that came out, the new medication? And I was like, well, we can try this, we can try that, but then there's this to get rid of, there's that to get rid of. And I'm on so many meds already. My whole life growing up. I was like, well, what did you find now? What is the next best thing now? Now what'd you find? Now what'd you find? And it was...
Yeah, it's a good doctor like that.
I mean, my neurologist, Kaznicki, he's amazing. He always had the next best thing. But I think that this is the next best thing for all epileptics. I want epileptics around the world to come out and speak more about this. Not just you, not just us. I want everybody with epilepsy to speak about it.
To talk about it, yeah.
We have to talk about it, and we have to raise awareness. It's not just the three of us. It's everybody.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of stigma around epilepsy, or like you said, that girl was crying because she didn't want to tell anyone she had seizures. And I have a couple of people I've worked with that they were kind of on the fence, like, if I start a job, should I tell them I have this? Should I tell them if I have that? And it's like, yeah, you should, because this way you're protected in case something happens. They can help you and they know what's going on to some degree, instead of everyone just freaking out. I mean, people still freak out when they see a seizure anyway. You get people that either freak out or people that are calm and like, hey, can I help you? But I think, it's just kind of bringing about that, just because you have a seizure, you're still a person, and you should be treated as such, and you still want to live your life.
But it is scary. It is scary,
very
to
scary.
tell your job before you get hired in the interview.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, they're not going to hire you. Or, like I said, I got fired because I had a seizure at the job. And they
that's
knew
just
it.
not
They
right.
knew I had it. They knew that I had it. I just happened to have one there. I lost my license, which that stigma right there is I never thought I was an alcoholic.
Right, that's
Why did you lose
terrible.
your license? You got DUI? No. I have epilepsy.
Right, you're like,
That's
I have
how I lost my
medical.
license.
Yeah, so.
I actually had a driver's license. I gave that up quickly. Only 2 years. From 18 to 20, I gave that up because I thought I could withstand the, epilepsy, but it wasn't working for me.
Yeah,
and then school.
I was in the suburbs. I had to.
Yeah.
I was in 4 different colleges. I kept on trying about the college, but college after college, my doctor kept pulling me out. And I go, would you stop? Can I finish college, please? I want to go to school. I would like to go to school, please, and finish and get a degree.
Like, go to school, please.
Can I go to school, please? And it just didn't, it didn't work out that way.
So John, just before we finish wrapping up the podcast, do you have any quote or something words you live by daily to kind of get through the day and stay positive and all that you would like to leave the listeners?
Well, like I put in the comic book, that was my tagline: "You are not alone. You are not alone." There's plenty of us out there. There's more of us than other diseases.
Right.
But it's because we have so many different types of seizures. People are just like, oh, well, it's always the grand mal. No, it's not always the grand mal.
Right.
No.
Right.
It's the most one everybody knows. But I live by learn something new every day, and you are not alone. That's it. We know my wife takes care of things. She has to take off. She's gotten not yelled at, but talked to because she had to stay home with me and take care of me on certain days. And they're like, well, why? Well, I have epilepsy and I can't function. We have a baby.
Right.
Somebody's got to watch the baby. So it's a lot. People still, I don't understand how people still don't know about this and still look down to it. Being possessed by a devil, being sick, being contagious. It doesn't exist.
Right.
But
And we're going to change that. Yeah. That's what we're going to do. We're all working to change that. And I think we can definitely make a difference. And we're just going to all keep working hard. John, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you so much. And
Thanks for having me.
check out what he's done. Check out ToteMan. Check out his website. We'll post all that good stuff for everyone so they can, click it easily. And I'll include it in part of the description on the podcast. And that's great. So thank you. Have a great night, John. And maybe we can get you on another one in the future. You can give us an update.
And just like John says, you are not alone.
Yep. Thanks, Bruno. Yep, exactly.
You are not alone.
All right. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, John.